You're listening to the Back Porch Talk podcast. Danny and Jason had many discussions and debates on the back porch while making pivotal investment moves with assets. That's right, with trading cards. They welcome you to the back porch and right into those discussions about current sports news with a fresh and unique twist. So come on and join us. Welcome to the Back Porch Talk podcast. I'm your co-host, Jason.
Your co-host, Danny.
Fans, we have a great show for you today, and where we're going to talk about week one in the NFL. Oh boy, a whole lot went down. Let me just say that one of the most interesting games this weekend this Sunday was the Steelers and Bengals, where the Steelers pulled this thing out 23-20 in overtime, and it seemed like the Steelers were going to run away with this game.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Burrow, he just threw interception after interception. Joe Burrow, who threw 4 interceptions, man, 338 yards, 2 touchdowns. But boy, I thought the Steelers were going to run away with this game. The Steelers' offense is not that great.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, TJ Watt got hurt, could be out for the season. MRI, I'm pretty certain will dictate that. But man, what a game between divisional rivals. Danny, what say you?
Pittsburgh has the lead and Cincinnati comes back. Cincinnati ties the game with 2 seconds left in the game. Jamar Chase catches this crazy pass for a touchdown. Cincinnati's long snapper got hurt, so they had to substitute their long snapper in, which ended up costing them that game. He snaps the ball. Pittsburgh blocks the extra point. They go to OT. Cincinnati has another opportunity to win the game. Long snapper snaps the ball. Laces are towards the kicker, towards McPherson. He shanks it. Pittsburgh misses a field goal. Cincinnati ends up going down. Joe Burrow fumbles. Pittsburgh gets the ball back, goes down, drives, kicks a field goal at the end. Time expired. It was the craziest game, man, to start the season off. Like you mentioned, TJ Watt got hurt. Najee Harris went down. It looked nasty, but he got up off the field. So curious to see how long he may be out, if he's out, because his leg got bent nasty when they fell on him. So that was definitely a great game to kick off the season. Another one, Jason, was the Tennessee Titans and the New York Giants.
Man, come on, man.
I step away from the TV, doing some other stuff. All of a sudden, they come back into the game. The Giants were down 20-19. They decide to go for 2. They're on the road. Scored a 2-point conversion. Tennessee has an opportunity to win the game. Missed the field goal to win the game.
Come on,
it was like that all day. It was a great first week of football just due to all the craziness that was going on with a lot of these games that are very competitive and teams coming back.
And then let me add to that, Danny. Saquon Barkley, 18 carries for 164 yards and a touchdown, man. I think he is back. He is definitely back. And I would just say to that, I believe this is a contract year. Yeah. So we'll see how Saquon does. As Saquon goes, so does the New York Giants, it seems like. So we'll see what happens with the New York Giants.
Yep. And that was a statement game for them, man, to go for 2. They're trying to change the culture. The Giants have been just losing just consistently over the last few years. And this is something that could change the momentum of a team. Something as small as a victory in week 1 by 1 point. It may seem minuscule, like in the grand scheme of things, but that's something that can change a culture. So very curious to see how they progress during the season and how Saquon holds up.
Agreed there. I think another intriguing game. I did not get a chance to fully watch this game, Danny, but I've just been really interested in the Miami Dolphins for some reason. For everything that happened with Brian Flores and Dahl,
Yep.
I was really interested to see how this Miami Dolphins team would react to not only that new coaching staff, but then also new acquisitions during the offseason. And let me just say, it seemed like Miami has something going down there, man. They have something going on down there, 20-7, and where they beat the Patriots. Tua ended up with 270 yards with a touchdown. Tyreek Hill, 8 receptions for 94 yards. I think Miami is for real, Danny. I think they sense that we got to really compete here in the AFC East, where obviously the Patriots are in, and the Jets, along with the Dolphins, and oh boy, the Buffalo Bills, who obviously wrecked shop on Thursday night. Mm-hmm. So that Miami is a team to really look out for, in my opinion. What say you, Danny?
I agree, Jason. That defense is tough. They came out and they locked down the Patriots offense. Mac Jones didn't do too much. And I was very curious to see how Tyreek Hill played in this game. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And Tua got him the ball. Mm-hmm. And if Tua is going to play like that, I think he needs to be a little more explosive as the season goes on to give them a really legitimate shot to do some damage in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. But it was a great start for Miami. So good to see Tua and Tyreek get on the same page, and we'll see what they do in week 2.
The interesting game, I went back and forth on this game, Danny. The Colts and Texans. Let me just say, I don't know how I really feel about a game ending in a tie. And that's what happened with the Colts and Texans. I just feel, man, you all have worked the whole week to get to Sunday, and it ends up in a tie. Mm-hmm. I just think the NFL needs to do something about that. I know it's incumbent upon the offense and defense of the respective teams to make a stop and score and things of that nature. But, man, something's got to be done about this tie situation, man. I just don't get it, man. But needless to say, Colts and Texans ends in the tie, Dan. What say you?
Jason, I'm going to be watching the Colts with a side eye all year long because I got to keep my eyes to what Matt Ryan's doing. And yesterday, the Texans were up 20-3. Mm-hmm. And Matt Ryan and crew brought them back. Jonathan Taylor had 161 yards, scored a touchdown. Pittman had over 120 yards and a touchdown. I think Matt Ryan, it was just he was a little shaky and probably some nerves. You know, his first game being in the Colts uniform, a regular season game. But he got under control in the second half. Mm-hmm. But to tie the Texans, yeah, I don't know.
Come on, man.
But it's the first game. And the Colts did, if you remember last year, the Colts did this with Jacksonville. Mm-hmm. They went down Jacksonville and lost. And I don't know what it is. It's some teams, man, that just start off slow in that first week. And we'll get to one of them in particular that you cheer for soon. But
here we go, man.
But Matt Ryan, I'm going to keep an eye on him, man, because, being a Falcon for as long as he was, I just want to see how he's doing and vested interest in that team. So Jonathan Taylor is a Badger, and they have a good thing going. But to tie the Texans, man, I hope that doesn't come to bite them in the end.
And Danny, one of the games that I was really most interested in for the weekend, honestly, was the Raiders against the Chargers. And where the Chargers actually won 24-19. Devontae Adams, and this is the reason why I really wanted to tune in, man. I really wanted to see what Devontae Adams is going to do. Hey, man, Devontae Adams had 10 receptions for 141 yards and a touchdown. And at one point, while watching the Green Bay Packers-Vikings game, they actually put up Devontae Adams' stats in the Packers-Vikings game. Mm-hmm. They put up his stats at that particular moment in time, and they had how many receptions he had and how many yards he had and touchdowns versus the whole receiving core of the Green Bay Packers. Let me just say this about the Green Bay Packers. Danny, we told them so. We knew this was going to happen. As soon as they got rid of Devontae, the question was, who's going to catch the ball? Instead of getting Jordan Love, I should have gotten the number one receiver. You could have groomed them for now 2-3 years and been ready for Devontae Adams to leave. But now look at you. Look at you. The very first offensive play for the Packers, what happens? The rookie drops the ball. 75-yard pass right in the hands.
Mm-hmm.
He drops it, which would have been a touchdown. And I think that was just really the start of it. I mean, there were routes that weren't synced up, and it was a mess, man, from an offensive standpoint. You got to give credit to the Minnesota Vikings, but, man, I just think the Packers look absolutely terrible. Now, I knew the Packers were going to lose this game. I said it. Fans, look at our preview show and everything, but I said that the Packers were going to split against the Vikings and split it against the Detroit Lions. This is holding up so far to be true. And I'll just say, I don't know what the hell happens to the Packers defense against Jefferson. Jefferson, the wide receiver for Minnesota Vikings, had 9 receptions for 184 yards and 2 touchdowns. You kidding me? There were so many times when he was wide open. Danny.
Yep.
I know the defense held the Vikings to 23 points. But, man, come on, man. This bend, don't break type situation, I just don't know if it's going to be sustainable. Until this offense really, really gels, we're going to have to rely upon the defense. And this bend, don't break situation, I just don't think it's going to be a good look. Now, this is only week 1. The same thing happened to the Packers last year and where they messed things up. But this is a new season. And same things happened so far. So, hey, we'll see what happens, man. I did predict the Packers to lose this game, Danny.
Mm-hmm.
So what say you?
Yeah, Jason, that was deflating when Christian Watson dropped that ball. And if he catches that ball, I think it's a different game. I think everyone's saying that if you listen to the pundits. But I think it's true as well. I think it's something that once something like that happens, and then Minnesota they kind of woke Minnesota up. And Minnesota's defensive line was all over Rodgers all game long. They got a couple good licks on him. Zadarius Smith got a couple good hits on. He wanted to get it was a get back game, right?
He got his, yep.
The Packers did have their opportunities. They got stuffed on a 4th and 1. Dillon got, stopped at the 1-yard line, and Minnesota took advantage of that. So it's one of those things where it is week 1. And some of these teams that don't play in the preseason, don't play a lot of their players in the preseason. It's just a chemistry. I think it comes down to chemistry. So where you see some of these games where you're like, all right, this team should blow this team out. But if people didn't play and there's timing issues and things like that, over time, that'll work itself out. So real-time action will fix that. So the Packers have the Bears next week. The Bears look they're playing in monsoon.
Come on, man.
Like 5 inches of water on the field. Man. But in the first half, the receivers didn't have a catch.
Come on, man.
I don't know. 49ers just totally messed that game up. But I see the Packers getting right against the Bears next week and on Sunday night, and we'll see what they do after that.
Yeah, they'll get right, man. I'm not worried about the Bears, man.
So, Jason, there's one more game we just want to hit on, and it involved the Atlanta Falcons and the New Orleans Saints. Jason, as a Falcons fan, you're sitting there, I see the lead, 4th quarter, up 26-10. Things are going our way. And then the Falcons do what the Falcons do. There is no lead safe, and I don't know how we break this. Where we have a new set. There's still a couple guys left over from the Super Bowl run, but it's just like this cloud over our team, man. In the 4th quarter, we cannot close the game. there's no way, probability wise, they should have lost this game, but they did. And a
Mm-hmm.
couple key factors. Jameis Winston,
Mm-hmm.
who coming into the fourth quarter had 50 yards passing. He turned into Joe Montana in the fourth quarter. He went 13 of 14 for 212 yards and 2 touchdowns. I don't know if the defense got tired. AJ Terrell, Michael Thomas made his return, and
Mm-hmm.
he had 2 touchdowns. He made AJ Terrell look bad. And I was like, okay, he had the first touchdown. Maybe let's shadow Michael Thomas if they're in the red zone. Nope,
Mm-hmm.
they left him 1-on-1, and he ate him alive.
Mm-hmm.
This is the old Michael Thomas,
Mm-hmm.
pre-ankle injury and all that other stuff that was going on with him before, he was out. And Atlanta had their opportunities to close the game out, and they couldn't. And
Mm-hmm.
so New Orleans, Jameis Winston threw a bomb, and they caught it, and they got field goal range, kicked the field goal. We did have an opportunity to win the game, but our kick got blocked. It was just disaster from the get-go when they snapped the ball. But Mariota had a good game. He had 215 yards, 20 of 33, had a rushing touchdown. Drake London had a good game for his rookie, his first game as a rookie. Cordero Patterson had 120 yards rushing. So everything was set up. We had ball control. We had everything going. That fourth quarter, once again, man, came back to bite us. So we have the Rams next week on the road, and they're going to be ready to beat somebody down. And of course, we're going into LA, into SoFi Stadium. But
Come on, man.
I'm hoping that the team can at least hang around in that game and don't get, this was demoralizing to the nth degree. So let's see how they respond and how they do. But it's tough, man, being a Falcons fan. It's tough, Jay.
And Danny, there was one other game here that I think is worth noting: the Buccaneers against the Cowboys, Sunday Night Football, where the Buccaneers actually won this game 19-3. Tom Brady, pedestrian numbers, 18 for 27, 212 yards, 1 touchdown. But I think the game plan for the Buccaneers was just to go ahead and run the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Leonard Fournette, man, 21 carries, 127 yards, man. He was just, man, doing his thing, man. So just really interesting. And, man, listen, Danny, I thought there was going to be a little bit more firepower coming from the Cowboys than 3 points. I mean, you have Ezekiel Elliott, who had 10 carries for 52 yards. I'm thinking that they would feed him more, or would have fed him more, quite honestly. So I don't know, man. There's some things that still has to be worked out in Dallas. Mike McCarthy, I think he's definitely on a hot seat at this juncture. CeeDee Lamb only had 2 catches for 29 yards. You kidding me? Unfortunately, Dak Prescott got injured. It seems like Dak Prescott has broken his thumb, might be out 6 to 8 weeks. Don't know what the Cowboys are going to do. I think now their mindset has to be, let's just kind of get through this 6 to 8 weeks, best that we can until Dak returns. But before Dak left, man, his numbers were atrocious. Cowboys look terrible. And we'll see what happens during the 6 to 8 weeks, Danny. What say you?
Jason, another game near and dear to my heart. So Julio Jones made his debut as a Buccaneer. And Julio Jones looked pretty dang good. He was running routes. He had speed. He looked like a couple years ago, Julio. He didn't look like last year. Mm-hmm. He just was never right last year in Tennessee. Mm-hmm. But he looked fluid. He made 2 nice catches last night. One deep ball, I think it was like 48 yards. He ended up with 3 catches for 69. Mm-hmm. He almost made another one. Tom Brady put it a little too low for him, but he almost pulled it in anyway. Mm-hmm. So Godwin did get hurt last night, and we're waiting to see what the result is. They suspect it's a hamstring, and he may be out a couple weeks, but they haven't really said yet. But to have Julio Jones as your 3rd receiver and Russell Gage as your 4th, to pair with Mike Evans and Godwin.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And once Brady gets his rhythm going, and you got Fournette running the ball the way he was last night, they're going to be tough. But a couple things happened to them too last night. Their offensive line got banged up.
Yep, exactly.
So if Tom Brady's not protected, they're in trouble because he can't move.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But that defense, the way they're flying around last night, I was thinking Dallas would do more screens and stuff just to help Dak out, just to get him in some rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
But that wasn't happening. They're in his grill all night long. So if the Buccaneers defense can play like this all year, they're going to be tough.
Yep, agreed.
But that offensive line is something to watch with Tampa Bay. So we'll see. In Dallas, I don't know, man. They might be in trouble unless they pick up somebody that I'm not aware of from a free agent perspective, because Cooper Rush isn't going to do it. They need somebody with a little more that can bring them a little more something than Cooper Rush right now.
Danny, let me ask you.
Their lack of receivers.
Danny, let me ask you this: do you feel that the Cowboy season is over with? 6 to 8 weeks. That puts them at, if they go the 8 weeks, puts them at week number 9.
Mm-hmm.
Still have the half of the season yet to go.
Yep, it depends on how they want to play it. So they could play it the let's hang in there and try to make the playoffs route, or they can say let's scrap it, get one of these nice quarterbacks, and possibly do something else with Dak, do something else with McCarthy, and start over.
Well, Danny, just to
kind of see how they play this.
Danny, to provide some frame of reference here as well. Let's look at the Cowboys schedule next few weeks here.
Mm-hmm.
So they play the Bengals next. They play the Giants.
They want to get right too.
They want
them yesterday.
They want to get some get right too. Exactly.
Yep.
Then the Cowboys play the Giants at the Giants. Then they play the Washington Commanders.
Yep.
And then the Rams at SoFi. Then the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yep.
And then the Detroit Lions.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Chicago Bears. And then the Green Bay Packers. They have a bye after that Bears game, and then Green Bay Packers. So
that isn't a tough schedule, Jason, if you think about it.
I was thinking the opposite. I think that is a tougher schedule. I think they're going to take an L against the Bengals.
Mm-hmm.
The way the Giants look, man, ain't no telling what the Giants going to do, Danny.
That's the thing. You just don't know if it is the Giants now. That's where
it
was week 1. So that's where all these they have division games. Mm-hmm. These are division games. So these are usually toss-ups. That's what I'm saying.
Anyway,
if they can bring somebody in that's halfway decent, they might have a chance to maintain until Dak gets back.
So let's just say I see Bengals winning. I see the Rams winning.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the divisional games.
And their defense actually was Dallas's defense played well last night.
Yeah, you know what? You're right, man. I mean, division games can just be a toss-up. You just don't know.
You don't know. Carson Wentz, Daniel Jones. Look at Philadelphia yesterday. They're up 38-21 or 38-14 and almost lost to Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
So if Dallas's defense can keep them in games, they may have a shot. It just depends on how they want to play this, though. If they stick with Cooper Rush, then I can see what they're trying to do. But if they try to bring somebody in to actually, bridge the gap until Dak gets back, I think they have a legitimate shot to at least go 500, just due to their defense.
Yeah. I think that's all they want to do at this juncture. This is get to 500.
Yep.
And that's span Dak's out, and then let's see what happens. I think Dak will probably, take advantage of that bye after the Bears on October 30th. Their next game wouldn't be till November 13th at Green Bay. So I think they'll take advantage of that bye. But here's one thing that I think has to be stated. You go into Green Bay in November when it's cold and your thumb is just trying to get right. Well, you're going to have some hand warmers for your finger, man, because
You ain't lying.
that cold set in.
Mm-hmm. You better hope it's still like that one last late fall day
Come
where it's
on,
like
man.
60 degrees in November.
Come on,
After
man.
that, it's a wrap.
It's a wrap, man. So, hey, look, that's going to be interesting, Danny. We'll see what happens with the Cowboys. Thank you for joining us at Back Porch Talk Podcast. You can also join us on Twitter by tweeting us at @back_podcast. For more information, you can go to our website, which is backporchtalkpodcast.com. You can also email us at backporchtalkpodcast@gmail.com. Again, thank you for joining us, and remember that there's enough hate in the world, so go ahead and spread a little love.